It kind of drew me out of the scene for a second, where I kind of got overwhelmed, and I thought to myself, I shouldn't be saying these words. Like I shouldn't be here doing this, because I'm not worthy to be doing this. I just felt completely out of my element for that scene, because all of a sudden now I'm saying these words that Jesus said to these people that are like looking at me, and I'm there, and I'm like, what am I doing here? I shouldn't be here. It just feels wrong for the moment. Attempt to look like I'm teaching these people, even though I'm not on camera. To me, it doesn't matter. Your camera could be 2 miles.
Now Jesus speaking to a crowd, sharing words that have echoed through time. And Jonathan, who's poured his soul into this role from day one, suddenly froze.
It's so important for me to get this right. And I just felt completely out of my element for that scene, because all of a sudden now I'm saying these words that Jesus said to these people that are like looking at me, and I'm there, and I'm like, what am I doing here? I shouldn't be here. I felt like, I'm like this, and I told him, like, this just feels wrong for the moment.
It wasn't that he wanted to quit the show. Quite the opposite. He just didn't feel worthy. And if you followed Jonathan's journey at all, you know this isn't an isolated moment. From the very beginning, back when he first read for the role of Jesus in a small church film, he's carried this responsibility with trembling hands.
A very innocuous and gentle outlet, and I picture Jesus like just kind of like shaking his head, like I think he'd appreciate it, and I think he would think it's funny. Right. And if I didn't, or if I thought it was offensive or in some way harmful to his image, like I wouldn't do it. But to me, I mean, this is as good-natured as any of the other jokes that are written in the show.
Well, and that's the thing, I think.
That moment on set was more than a breakdown. It was holy ground, because sometimes God brings us to the edge of ourselves just to remind us who's really carrying the weight. And Jonathan Roumie didn't just keep filming after that. He preached, he led, and he gave one of the most unforgettable performances in the entire series.
It's almost too much to even imagine, and I can't imagine how difficult it is going to be to watch that. Have you thought much about the crucifixion?
I mean, the few times that it has crossed my mind, I know it's going to be gut-wrenching for everyone involved. It's going to be extremely difficult to do, to get through. Yeah, I think it's one of those things that I just choose not to think about at this point, because to really imagine all these relationships that Jesus has with these people in these first 8 episodes, and then all of a sudden...
So, have you ever felt unworthy of the thing God's asking you to do? Maybe that's the best sign you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And what Roumie says in the next interview was totally off the script.
One-off. You're playing him over a long haul.
Yeah.
Did you ever say, maybe I shouldn't do this?
You've probably seen the scene. Jesus standing before a crowd, preaching words that have shaped the course of history. It plays out beautifully on screen. Seamless. Powerful. Divine. But what you didn't see is what happened right before the cameras rolled. Because behind the scenes, Jonathan Roumie, who spent the last 5 seasons carrying the weight of portraying Christ in The Chosen, hit a wall. And he stopped everything.
Do it. I remember in the first season, I definitely, when I had my first big speech in front of maybe about 50 or 100 extras, I became very self-aware of the fact that I was now preaching parables, and I hadn't done that yet. So I was preaching from various parables, and I suddenly became self-aware that of the words that I was saying and what I was actually doing.
It wasn't because of a bad camera angle. It wasn't a wardrobe issue. It was something far deeper, something spiritual. It was the first season, his first major preaching scene. There were about 100 extras standing in front of him, watching, waiting. He was about to deliver parables, real words of Jesus. And suddenly, it hit him. Not the nerves, not stage fright, but the reality of what he was doing.
Actually doing, and how people were looking at me, and it kind of drew me out of the scene for a second, where I kind of got overwhelmed, and I thought to myself, I shouldn't be saying these words. Like I shouldn't be here doing this, because I'm not worthy to be doing this. Like to be playing Jesus for the world to see. It just all of a sudden it felt like way too much. And so
He became completely self-aware. He was no longer just an actor playing a role. He was saying sacred words to real people, and the weight of that became unbearable.
Dallas, we were shooting this scene, and we were getting the shot, and he was trying to move on, and I was pretty unsettled, and at one point I said to him, I'm like, hey, can we slow down a second? I need a minute. And he's like, yeah, well, what's wrong? And we went aside, and I took him aside, and I just confided in him. I said, this is what I'm going through. I don't feel worthy to be saying these words. I'm having a hard time right now.
Dallas paused everything. Jonathan took him aside and confessed. He was panicking, overwhelmed. He didn't feel worthy. He felt like an imposter. And for a moment, the man chosen to portray Jesus, Christ to the world, questioned whether he should even be there. That's not just emotional. That's holy ground. Because here's a man who knows exactly what kind of responsibility he's carrying. And instead of pretending to be strong, he breaks, honestly, humbly. And what Dallas told him in that moment was simple, but powerful.
And I was starting to panic a little bit. And he just very gently was like, he put his hand on my shoulder. He's like, listen, man, none of us are worthy, but we're here because we're meant to be telling this story and giving this story to the world. So you're basically, he said, like, you're right where you're supposed to be. And that kind of brought me back to reality. And I thought, yeah, there's a reason I got cast as Jesus for The Chosen, and somebody else didn't.
That moment brought Jonathan back. And if you've ever watched that scene and felt something shift inside you, that's why. Because what you're seeing isn't just performance. It's surrender. A man, aware of his brokenness, stepping forward anyway, trusting that if God put him there, God would carry him through.
So God put me in this position. And so I just got to honor that and accept it, and know that it might be scary at times. Like, in season 5, we just portrayed the Last Supper in the Garden of Gethsemane. And at that point, I went into those scenes and like, you got to help me. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I have no idea what you went through for this. Like, how do you recreate the moment in the Garden of Gethsemane?
Well, I was going to ask you, how do you prepare for that? I mean, how do you prepare for this?
When God calls you to something bigger than yourself, it'll scare you. It should. But fear isn't failure. It's confirmation that you can't do it without him. Jonathan didn't stop because he was weak. He stopped because he was reverent. And when he returned to the scene, he carried something more powerful than confidence. He carried calling. And sometimes that's all you need.
Divine Mercy, the Angelus, all of those. I feel like I've become more hyper aware of spiritual warfare, and I've probably sensed more attacks. I haven't been struck by lightning, praise Jesus.
His tone made it clear that this was no mere jest. It was a subtle recognition that this responsibility carries significant weight. Let's be honest. Embarking on a mission to spread the gospel to millions through film means attracting the attention of opposing forces that resist that message. It's a fundamental truth. When you shine light into darkness, the darkness will inevitably push back. Roumie was fully aware of this reality. He approached the task with readiness. Behind every camera shot, every piece of dialogue, and every heartfelt depiction of Jesus, a genuine battle is taking place. Jonathan Roumie has experienced this struggle up close, and this is only the beginning.
The spirituality of the issue, it becomes completely about right or left, conservative or liberal. It's like I don't understand it. So for me, that wasn't politics. That was spirituality. You can't cherry pick the aspects of your faith you like and dispense with the things you don't like.
You said it yourself. I came not to bring peace, but to bring a sword.
And can you guess what happened next? Because it gets even more serious. And the deeper into the role he went, the closer they got to scenes like the Last Supper, the arrest, the crucifixion. The spiritual tension only escalated. Like really escalated.
High five moment of season 5 was for sure walking into Jerusalem. Hosanna to the Son of David.
To where we are entering Holy Week, and you see thousands and thousands of people welcoming the Messiah and his followers into.
Walk in and see the destruction at the marketplace.
The stakes are super high all the time. It's palpable, you can feel it.
As Jonathan Roumie went deeper into his role as Jesus, the opposition he faced grew increasingly intense. This wasn't merely about the pressures of creativity. It was a profound spiritual struggle, heavy and undeniably real. During the emotionally charged moments of the Last Supper, the betrayal, and the crucifixion, Jonathan found himself experiencing a level of exhaustion that no amount of rest, energy drinks, or motivational speeches could alleviate. This wasn't just physical fatigue. It was a deep spiritual drain, as if something was siphoning his energy from within. It raises an intriguing question. Was it merely acting, or was he entering a spiritual echo chamber where the pain of Jesus still resonates? He acknowledged that as they neared those climactic scenes, even though his character spoke less, the spiritual burden only grew heavier. Silence can be deafening, and stillness can feel overwhelmingly oppressive.
I haven't been struck by lightning, praise Jesus, at this point.
That did happen, didn't it?
Happened to Jim, yeah, while he was on the cross. So
Did you
I'm
ask him what
praying that
was
doesn't
like?
happen.
That's right. We're going to make sure it's a real clear day.
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
Did he tell you what that was like?
I mean, it's
Just crazy.
yeah. Basically that's kind of what the reaction was. It's like I think he's been able to make sense of it as just being part of Christ's suffering. At the end of the day, everything that he experienced, dislocating shoulder, he had heart surgery, he had all these things happen to him, as just offering it up and anything.
For Jonathan, each step toward Golgotha felt like stepping into a spiritual quagmire. He bore the weight of fear of failure, the responsibility of embodying Christ for the world, and the invisible forces attempting to disrupt his tranquility. Throughout this struggle, he relied on prayer as if it were essential for survival. Yet, what truly resonates is his refusal to adopt a victim mentality. He didn't complain or question, "Why me?" Instead, he accepted, "This is simply part of the journey." Much like a soldier who understands the harsh realities of battle. When he spoke of offering it up, the racing heart, the anxiety, the assaults on his peace, it was clear he viewed each challenge as an opportunity to grow closer to Christ. That perspective lingers with you. In a society fixated on comfort and self-preservation, here is a man willingly engaging in spiritual conflict, all to help others see Jesus more clearly.
I can hardly walk anymore. I'm near crippled. So the frustration, and you, am I correct too, Jonathan? Like I'm thinking when Jesus is not confronting, but when he sees Martha and Mary, he kind of can't figure it out either. He's kind of, when his chosen are saying to him, "We can't figure you out." Am I correct? Sometimes he looks at his father and saying, "I can't figure you out." Is that true?
I think we leave a lot up to
Sure.
the discretion of.
Let's be real. If you've watched The Chosen, you can sense something profound at play. It's not merely exceptional acting. There's a divine presence in that series. You can feel it, and perhaps that's why the enemy is so intensely focused on it. Light reveals darkness, and darkness despises it. Let us know what you think about this video in the comments below. Also like and subscribe.